Please allow me to introduce myself. I gotta turn that shit off. Boop. I won't deny it, I'm a Southsider. You don't wanna fuck with me. Got the police rushing at me, but they can't do nothing to an attorney. Said, I won't deny it, I'm a Southsider. You don't wanna fuck with me. Got the police rushing at me, but they can't do nothing to an attorney. What is up, and hello everyone out there. I'm Brian Tierney. This is the Blessed Life University podcast, the Blue Podcast for short. With me today is Captain Matt Thomassen of the United States Army, a man's fucking man, the kind of man I respect, the kind of guy I get along with, one of my best friends out here, so it's great to have him on and fucking chit-chat about what's blessed, man. So what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. First time on Blessed Life University, so this is great. Much appreciated. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to go into. Got us a little queue. Gonna go into the queue, just dive right in. How about those fights last night, man? I mean, pretty lit fight night. UFC. We had a lot of action there. Granted, I think I got most of it. I remember most of it, but it's a little bit of there's so many fights. You always pay attention to like the headliners, but you don't realize all the undercards and all these people. I'm like, I don't know who that is, but man,
well, that's why I watch early, man.
Yeah.
Like we started here, we're watching the UFC fights. I want to start seeing them by 7 o'clock, and quite honestly, sometimes I'll be cleaning the office, getting ready for the fights, and I would just watch even the early prelims. I want to see the up-and-comers, and a lot of times you'll see fights on there that are as good or better than the actual main card. You know, it's kind of crazy. You don't want to overlook these people on the prelims.
Yeah, I think there were definitely some of the fights that were undercards that were as good. I mean, they're up there to the main event. Obviously, it's for everyone that knows, Francis Ngannou retains a title. The champ with concrete fists from Cameroon. Props to the man. He is still the reigning champion. But yeah, one of the early ones that kind of caught my eye was the Frevola Valdez fight. And I have no idea who these guys are. I'm not an MMA whiz. You know, I dabble.
Same, we're getting there. But we're more than most people.
Yeah. Most people are just like, is that the fighting thing, the thing where the fights are done? I'm like,
yeah, this is the violent one.
Yeah,
this is the violent one.
This is the one where people bleed from repeated
impacts. And they don't stop it right away either. Somebody's gonna be getting hurt, or they're gonna be getting choked until that shit is over, son.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of getting hurt, freaking props to Valdez, that guy. I mean, Frevola just put like literally a steamroller tidal wave of punches into this guy, and I mean, kept getting knocking down, getting dazed, getting stunned, and he just kept coming, and I was just like, this is brain damage real time. We were witnessing actual brain damage.
I know. It's kind of crazy to watch.
The guy went, so much heart. Like, he went beyond like where he probably should have, but, he was just like, there's no quit in him, and it's like his body just wasn't having it, but his heart was 100%, 110% all in. But
that's what I love about fighting.
Yeah, and it was impressive to watch, and just even in defeat, the guy was impressive. But
there was no real losers there. Yeah.
No, I don't think Frevola just had like it's the nonstop flurry up. It was just hailing punches, a hailstorm of punches, and this guy was just he couldn't stop. And I kept on saying I'm like, he's gonna call it, and I'm like, he didn't know, he's still going. He
gave him a very fair opportunity. So what happened. He's like, are you gonna do something? Can you weather this storm? Some people can.
Yeah,
but. Fuck,
Dude, props to the man. I mean, and this is why people, like, I feel bad for, people that stick around. Like, there's something to, I think, it's not so much quitting while you're ahead, but like quitting while you still have a functioning head or functioning brain inside your head. Yeah. Because you do that long enough. And I think you had mentioned before that like you thought like GSP was, showing signs of, a little bit of,
Well, I heard that in the news that, as they followed him, they thought he might have been showing some signs of CTE.
Yeah.
And they had some kind of crazy stuff that they attributed to him as being a quote, like talking about UFOs and shit. And they thought he was kind of out there. And
that was the Big Rig. What's his real name? I forget.
Johnny Hendricks.
Hendricks, who was allegedly roided up at the time.
We watched that fight together at the Tilted Kilt on fucking Wabash in Washington.
Yeah, with my friend there with us who was
a little hammered and fucking dropped a glass and broke it, and it's kind of embarrassing in front of everybody, but it's all good.
Good times.
But that fight night, man, great night of fights. With the CTE and the fighters, man, like, I don't know, when this all first started, if they knew what they know now, because now what you got to watch out for is inflammation in the brain. If it's inflamed, it can't heal properly. So if they can get rid of that inflammation, give them proper vitamins, and keep an eye on their hormone levels too, because they say there's this guy, Dr. Mark Gordon, he tries to reduce people's symptoms after traumatic brain injury and let them live a normal life, because they saw it a lot with like returning vets and then like athletes who had bad falls, during gymnastics, and had some bad, football players, boxers, the whole deal. But definitely something they got to watch out for. So now with all these fighters that are getting constantly hit in the head, I hope they look out for themselves, their hormone levels, their vitamin levels, and all that shit, and try to, have a normal life where they can speak after they retire,
Yeah, you don't want to become Ali, and he had clearly traumatic brain injury.
The worst, man.
Clearly.
If he was around now and they started looking at his hormone levels and the swelling in his head, they would try to reduce that, and maybe it would have been a delayed onset, or maybe he would have never had the Parkinson's or whatever that he had.
I believe it was Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Poor guy. R.I.P. to the greatest.
So that was fight one we were chatting about. What else was notable?
Well, looking through the list here, I honestly, some of these I don't even remember. So
We won't have to hit every one.
Nurmagomedov. Yeah. Saeed Nurmagomedov. I mean, the technical skill of that guy. He's just, these Dagestanis, they're just straight up killers from the Caucasus Mountains, and it's just they're cut from a different cloth. Like, they're just a different breed of human being, clearly. Yeah. I mean, like, if there's a group of people I wouldn't want to get on their bad side, it's the Dagestanis. Like, it seems like that you want to stay in their good graces. Like, you do not want to cross one of those guys. Like, Khabib's basically a lead blanket that smothers you with fists until I mean, it's almost like sometimes I feel like he just drug that shit out, dragged it out, like, as long as just to keep the fight going or whatever, when he probably could have. So sometimes I got that feeling with Khabib, where he's just manhandling something. That one, who did he take down like 30 odd times or whatever?
Edson Barboza. Or Michael Johnson.
Yeah, they just threw him around. Just had his way with him. Yeah, just threw him around.
Yeah, see, I feel like there's different types of fighters. Some of them want it quick and dirty. They want to knock out, or they want to, whatever, like the Conor type.
Sure.
But then there's the people who try to break your will. Like, the victory for them is the satisfaction of knowing in their mind it was basically almost a rape. Like, what occurred there was like, you had no choice in the matter. I'm going to impose my will on you.
It was a non-sexual combative rape. Like,
pretty much. On national television in front of everybody, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I've seen there's this weird look of defeat, or almost like a near-death look on somebody's face when they were getting grappled by Khabib, or when they're getting choked by Khabib. Because, like, a good example of each of those is Edson Barboza. You could see, like, the soul almost leaving his body. His will to live, or his, like, will to keep on fighting in that fight, he was gone. He was broken. And that's, like, I feel like that's what gets Khabib hard, probably. You know what I mean? Like, he's a very nice guy, but I think that's part of it for him is, like, I'm going to dominate you so badly that it's not like a mercy killing. This is a slow burn. Like, he's going to friggin' throw on the slow jams. Some Marvin Gaye, some Luther Vandross, a little Anita will definitely set this body up right. Gotta be. Well. But yes, exactly. He wants to put on the slow jams. Like, he's going to give you a classic beating. You know what I mean? But
one for the ages.
One of the best fighters of all time. And I agree with what you were saying about the people from Dagestan. Definitely from a different cloth they are cut, and fucking, and they do it in such a calm, cool manner. And they're humble as fuck. They're strong as fuck. They're dedicated to their training. That is their craft. Like, they're mastering it. And they're grappling, they're wrestling, their jujitsu, their ability to submit people, their strength, their endurance. Like they have everything a fighter should have, and they have it without like flaunting it. They're calm killers.
They're not flashy.
No, they have a determined look in their eye.
Yeah.
And like, I'm gonna go out there and fuck you up, and I don't have to get excited about it. I don't have to
talk
fucking talk shit or whatever.
Not even.
Like, you bring game, we bring game. We see you. He's like, I'll
even more.
smash your boy.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm gonna smash your boy. Send me location.
Like, they don't have like gangsterism like we have here. Like, you think Nate Diaz, and you're like, represent your set, fucking whatever his zip code is out there in California.
It's much less macho. It's more subtle. There's just a confidence about it.
They'll throw down ringside too. I remember.
Absolutely.
I think Nate Diaz tried to slap Khabib, and he started brawling with him. Dude, their two crews were like side. Everybody had to split them up, and it was going on during the fight. They're like, what the fuck is going on? But Nate Diaz just tried to fucking bitch slap Khabib, and Khabib was ready to kill him. And then when the fight was over with Conor, he jumps over the fucking
That was the most insane thing ever that night.
octagon and just
the eagle
starts
flying through the
slapping.
air.
Yeah, dude, like mystical motherfucker. As soon as he beat Conor, he just fucking destroyed him, and then fucking. I mean, it wasn't the worst ever. I mean, he fucked some other people up worse. But fucking, he jumps over and he starts fighting with Dylan Dennis and fucking McGregor's whole crew. He's like, not only did I beat your guy, I'll smash all you pricks out here, so slap him around. You know what I mean? Just the ultimate alpha, you know?
And he clearly, he wasn't even gassed at all. That's how crazy his conditioning is. Like, he just fought like a legit fight. He fought one of the best in the world. Conor defeated him. And he's like, oh, you know what? Unlimited stamina. Here I go. Let me just fight these random assholes because they're pissing me off. You know, the eagle's attacking, like, you know.
Another one.
It's crazy.
That I saw was the Khabib Dustin Poirier. So when Khabib got him like the third round or whatever it was, it looked like that drained look, that defeated look, where it was like my soul has given up the will to fight. Like I don't have. It's like this has happened to me and I have no choice in the matter. It's got to be a very uncomfortable feeling.
And I believe Poirier said. He said something to that effect, where it was just like he knew he could not have beaten Khabib in that fight. Like so he really had. No, like he left it on the table, and he knew he could not have beaten Khabib. He knew that. But his last fight when he fought, what's his face? I'm terrible with the names. When he got submitted, he got choked out in the standing.
Justin Gaethje?
No. Poirier's last fight when he got choked out.
Charles Oliveira.
Oliveira got him. He was like, "Fuck! I knew I could have done better. Like I believe I could have beaten him." Had things gone down a little bit differently, and I believe too. He landed
he
connected.
At least had more to offer in the fight that he didn't get to execute. And so he said that the Khabib loss, it didn't feel as bad as the Oliveira loss. Because with Khabib, he felt like he didn't have a choice in the matter.
Right.
But with the Oliveira fight, he felt that there was something he could still do. So there's another great fighter too. But I guess to take it full circle with Nurmagomedov, they're a different breed, man, and they do it very calm, cool, and collect. And it's impressive to watch. And I think that should be what American fighters are aspiring to. That level of dedication, training, and humbleness.
Dude, I'm for a cultural exchange program with Dagestan, like for the youth. Like we just, like Switzerland has like compulsory military service when you turn 18, or same with Israel. It's like we should have that exchange with Dagestan where you just go hang out with Dagestanis for like a summer when you turn 18, and you like learn what it's like to be a real man, like in a third world-ish kind of country.
That's a fair statement.
Yeah, just like here you are before you go.
Dagestan and Russia.
Yeah, I mean they're not rich. Yeah, they're not rich, but they don't seem to care. They're doing their own thing. I mean, they're good to go. Like they're proud people, and they should be. They're fucking badass group of people. So, but yeah, here it's just like we need to stop sending kids to college. Send them to Dagestan for a summer, okay?
A Dagestani education, University of Dagestan.
Cultural exchange program. I think it would be beneficial to society. People are just like, holy shit, like I've kind of been a bitch for most of my life. I need to learn how to not be so much of a bitch. Like, yeah. And I think that would be important. More important than going to like a liberal arts college, like where I went, and taking an astronomy class and art and shit. Yeah.
We all need astronomers around though, bro,
Yeah.
Some magic shit going on out there.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, I can read the stars. Well, what do you fucking do? But, yeah, man, the Dagestani, Nurmagomedov, I'm so terrible at pronouncing their names, but that fucking submission, guillotine choke, first round, what was it, 47 seconds?
47 seconds.
Chokes one of the fastest.
Motherfucker.
I mean, it was like, you ever see like a mongoose fight a cobra? They're just going for the neck bite or whatever. It's super fast. That was kind of how it was. It was like a mongoose fighting a cobra. And before you know it, you blink, you're done. Yeah, pretty impressive.
Yeah, very wild. The submission game from Dagestan is unmatched.
Seriously.
Get on that level.
Seriously, man, it's next level shit.
What else we got in the queue there on these UFC fights, son?
We got Figueredo and Moreno. What an absolute fucking war! I would say probably fight of the night. Yeah, the champ fight was good, but Figueredo, Moreno. I at the end of the day, I'm looking at Ari and whatnot. We're just like, I'm like, I don't know what to win. He thought Moreno. I honestly didn't know. I'm like, maybe he had more significant strikes, but I guess Figueredo got him on points. But it was just, this guy was wrecked, this guy was wrecked. Now he was, and they're just like, it was so, it was a very technical war. Like, you just see the high fight IQs in these guys that they're going at. Like, they knew what they were doing, and it was just, they let all their cards on the table, and it was any man's fight, honestly. Like, there's no real losers in that fight either, in my view.
So hard to call, man. Yeah. So hard to call. It was a very close fight. I feel like, they say sometimes that they favor the champ in the sense that, like, if it was a close fight, they'll usually let you remain champ or whatever.
Right.
Which I felt was probably
it would have been acceptable.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what should have happened there because, if I'm scoring the fight, I don't know what their scoring system is for takedowns and different things or grappling or amount of control time or dominant time. But significant strikes is one of the main things you have to gauge on. It's like if this guy's hit him with more significant strikes, how could you say that the other guy is a winner when they're both standing at the end?
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, Moreno's shin was
obviously
starting to go
factors. They have to be considered.
But I feel like he weathered that really well. He still kept coming forward despite being compromised on that leg, and
that leg took kind of a beating.
Heart of a champion, repping Mexico, like just. Unlimited wall of willpower just coming at you. And, so I think I agree. Like, I probably, since Moreno's a champ, I probably would have given him the nod just because I feel like it has to be more decisive to dethrone the champ.
It was like a 3-2 fight, and it was very close, I'm sure.
I mean, it was so fucking close. I honestly didn't know what to call it. So, whatever, they got to call it one way. Can they even call a championship fight a draw? 'Cause honestly, it probably would have been more accurate.
I mean, that's a good question. Yeah, they might, and you might have to have a rematch or whatever if it was a straight up draw. And they would leave the belt with the champ until they rematch it. But this matchup is one of the ones that's meant to be because I don't know much about some of the other guys in that weight division, but I don't know that there's any big name challengers that could beat either one of those two guys right now. So I feel like, how did it play out? That was their third fight between Moreno and Figueredo. And so the first fight, I think Tyler, one of our guests here last night, shout out to Tyler, was saying that the first fight was a draw, and it was very close. And then the second fight was Moreno's victory, of course. Mm-hmm. And then last night we saw, Figueredo take back the belt. So, I mean, they're so closely matched. I feel like they could trade that belt back and forth for a while.
Probably.
And maybe sprinkle in, another contender, and then it'd be, right back to that. Because I feel it's different than the Usman-Covington rivalry because that one, I think Covington's going to just have to clean up some other people for a while and then maybe gets a shot again, unless Kamaru Usman lose it because I think there's that guy like Islam Makhachev or something that's coming up at 170.
I have heard, I heard he's the real deal. So I haven't followed him really, but he's dangerous. Yeah.
Yes, sir. How's our last one? What do we got there?
The champ, Ngannou and Cyril. Gane. How do you
Cyril
say?
Gane.
Gane. It's just
Cyril
Gane.
Yeah. Just Gane.
Gane. Man, also a great fight, but that was obviously decisively Ngannou. He controlled that fight. He kept on, especially at the end. You kept on pressing with the takedowns, controlling top position. I would have liked to see him do more ground and pound, Khabib style, but that's not necessarily his style.
Francis?
Yeah. That's not necessarily his style. He's known for huge explosive knockout power, obviously. But torn ligament.
Fully torn MCL, and I think he said partially torn ACL.
Yeah, and I saw he had that little that thing around his knee, that knee band. So obviously he was compromised in his ability to have a base for striking, for that full devastating Ngannou power, which we were all hoping to see the big knockout. But being that as it is and not available. I think he played that smart, going for the takedowns, controlling top position, controlling dominant position, and it was decisive, you know. So
it
like,
was.
There was no question about that, I think.
Great assessment of the fight. I mean, that pretty much sums up the whole, 5 rounds. And a very exciting fight to see coming up. Let me puff this shit.
Hell yeah.
Because that was a battle of the Titans, and Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane had trained together, so they knew each other. They had a little history of just, you know, helping each other out, whatever. And so, you know, they get in there. Cyril Gane is an incredible all-around fighter. I mean, those, in my opinion, are the 2 best heavyweights in the UFC.
Yeah.
And like you said, even with an injured knee, Francis Ngannou still dominated the fight. You know, and it's crazy, like you said, he wasn't able to really wind up and plant the way he normally does. Like the time when he knocked out Alistair Overeem.
Oh my God.
I mean, it was like an almighty.
Legendary.
Like it was like if God was on earth and just uppercutted somebody. It was just like the almighty power in his hand going up, like basically almost breaking fucking the neck of Alistair Overeem.
I'm pretty sure I saw Overeem's soul leave his body at least briefly during that uppercut.
Yeah,
like,
that was an almost heaven
snatched
experience.
the life out of him, you know, basically, and it just sprung right back. But man.
And his lip was split up almost all the way up to his nose. His lip, from one punch from this guy, Francis Ngannou,
Grizzly,
was split from the bottom where his teeth are all the way up to his nose, and he needed like 20 stitches in his face or something after that.
Just grizzly.
So yes, we didn't get to see any of that in that fight yesterday, but what Francis did really well was, and like you said, what we saw yesterday to sum it up really well is all the high fight IQ. So Francis, his fight IQ is really high now. You can really see it. He's calm and relaxed. He's
not a one-trick pony.
Not anymore. And that he was dangerous as a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
And now he has a whole game. Good luck fucking beating him.
Yeah.
I don't know who they can put in front of that guy who has a well-rounded enough game.
But I think it might be a hot minute. Knock on wood for him.
John Jones maybe, but I don't know if he can hang with the grappling of fucking Ngannou.
I don't think Jones can hang with him. I think Jones is going to get pummeled. But Jones is slippery. His defense is great.
He has a lot of technical skill that might help him dodge, but
he is a tough motherfucker. Like the Jones, he had a fight with Gustafsson where it was just a slugfest. They're beating the living shit out of each other, and they went the distance. And it was one of those close call fights. It was really close. So Jones definitely, he has heart. I mean, he definitely has the heart of a champion, even if he doesn't behave like a champion outside of the ring.
Not a lifestyle befitting of a champion. You know?
Not a champion
or not
lifestyle.
The lifestyle necessarily, but definitely the consequences of it and the criminal trouble he gets in. Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, but in the ring,
we don't condone John Jones outside of the ring behavior, but we do like him as a fighter inside the ring.
All-time greats.
Just his performance, like that's only what we're basing this person on for the purpose of this conversation.
Yes.
But man. Ngannou now showed us that he's been working on grappling, and he's been working on wrestling, and he's been working on jiu-jitsu. And he did it really well last night, even without being able to spring very hard. He looked like he was kind of a lead blanket, or at least a wet blanket, on Cyril Gane that kind of couldn't move around and prove that he can overpower people with his weight and his strength. Because Cyril Gane is very strong too. When he's on his back, he looked pretty defenseless. And they were wet and slippery. Like they were. Francis still maintained the dominance and was able to, hang on and keep him pinned for quite a while. Even though they were wet, they were fucking slippery and fucking sliding all over the place after 5 rounds of fucking brawling. Those big boys get real hot, I'm sure.
Speaking of big boys, that reminds me, brief discussion we had yesterday. Derrick Lewis.
Yes.
Let's talk about the attempted car theft.
Yeah.
So some poor bastard, and I say this, relatively, because I don't have that much sympathy, but someone tried to steal Derrick Lewis's car, apparently, and, he was in the act of trying to steal the car, and I guess he had tried to steal the car, not obviously boost it with, Derrick in the car, but he was coming out of a Walmart, like he had been in the Walmart, and the carjacker was in there trying to get it in the parking lot. Couldn't boost it quick enough, and Derrick Lewis beats the shit out of this car thief, pretty much. Can you imagine? Like, I said this yesterday. I was like, that car thief who just got beat by a world-class fighter, Derrick Lewis, hauled out of the car, pummeled, held there until the cops get there, because if Derrick Lewis wants to hold you there, you're not going anywhere. He's gonna do what he wants with you. It's like the Rogan Brock Lesnar skit. He's gonna do whatever he wants with you, basically. Like, hopefully he doesn't use you as a condom to fuck something bigger, you know. Something larger. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, man. I was like, that guy who got his ass beat trying to steal Derrick Lewis's car needs to go buy the Powerball tickets now, because he just became the most unlucky motherfucker in recently. So his luck is like, you know, I feel like the universe seeks balance, right? You know, existentially, generally, in, you know, the realm of physics, like balance is naturally sought by all things in the universe, even at like the particulate level. So this motherfucker needs to go buy Powerball tickets after getting his ass beat trying to carjack Derrick Lewis.
Yeah, man. You know, the way everybody, the police are told to act now like sissies, I'd rather get caught by the police than fucking Francis or than friggin' Derrick Lewis in a goddamn Walmart parking lot. Boy, you know what?
The fact is Walmart makes it all the more special. It's just really, it's just great.
It seems like that's where the fucking carjacking would happen. It's like, you know, I mean, it's just you hear it all the time. There's a Walmart maybe 10 minutes from this office, and people have been shot in the parking lot. There's shots fired. You know, it's like the car theft is just, it just seems like it makes sense to happen there. But anyway, I couldn't imagine just being that thief. Like, you're there, you're like, I'm gonna fucking steal this car.
This car now.
Nice car.
It's probably a nice SUV or something. You can see
then all of a sudden,
car.
overshadowing like the entire sun is Derrick Lewis, and he's coming at you to kick your fucking ass. Like, that's got to be so scary. And a lot of these people commit crimes while they're high. So you can imagine the paranoia freak out you would instantly have. Like, I think I'd go into cardiac arrest just looking at that guy running at me. Yeah, it's like, very scary. He's a very large individual. That's a UFC heavyweight contender, Derrick Lewis. Look him up online if you don't know who he is. The guy's huge.
AKA the Black Beast. So that when the Black Beast is upon you, God just decided God is done with you, right? Like any you know, like cred that you had with the almighty G-O-double-D, God's like, yeah, man, nah, Derrick Lewis, not my creation. Derrick Lewis can have you. Like, you've absolutely been abandoned by the Lord. Like, he's forsaken you.
There's like guys that are top 5 UFC heavyweights. Francis Ngannou, I think he has one of the world's strongest punches on record in terms of pressure. You got Francis Ngannou, you got Stipe, you had DC in the mix, you had Rosenstruik, Derrick Lewis. All of those guys in that like top 5, top 6 group could fucking crack your head off, dude. All of them. Yeah. Like
any other human that
Francis
they would come across.
Did you see him like kill Rosenstruik in the ring?
No, I didn't see that.
Steamrolled him and whacked him like 3, 4, 5 times, and Rosenstruik was just out cold, slumped up against the friggin' fence, man. It was wild to watch. Go back and take a look at it. It only lasted. It was not even one round, and Rosenstruik was supposed to be like the next challenger for the title. You got steamrolled by Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, I think it was after like the Derrick Lewis fight that everybody was disappointed by because they were so afraid of each other because they know that, you know, they can knock each other out and fucking. So they were like, you know, playing chess the whole time and they didn't throw hands, and fucking after that, Francis like, let me just show you who I am again, because I know that was a bad performance or whatever. And but good on Francis, man. I love that guy. You know, the story of leaving Africa on a small boat that he had to chip in with other guys and doing it 5 or 6 times till he finally made it to Spain, and then training and sleeping in a parking lot and get with only like a backpack and some clothes that the gym gave him, and to become the UFC champion of the world. I mean, I don't think that you can't. Fiction doesn't even have stories like that. Like, that shit is what, you know, comic books and fucking movies are made about.
Legendary origins of
working in salt mines as a child to raise money for his family to have food on the table. This is my favorite champion of all time, I think, based on story.
Definitely.
It's such an incredible story.
And he's, you know, for all the guys that could be cocky, you know, it started from the bottom, now here. Like, no, his bottom, like the bottom in America, it's low. People have it rough who have it real rough. But the bottom in Cameroon, I think it's from, to come from Cameroon to Africa to Europe to North America, you know, from literally nothing, from the salt mines, sand mines, whatever it was, being a child laborer, like having absolutely nothing. He's talking
man's work too.
Man's work
as a child.
Yeah. And he's talking about like in the school, like they didn't have money, like his family I remember him seeing him interviewed. I think it was on Rogan, but he was talking about just the school back home in his village, you know, where it was like all the other kid, like he was poor for there, like his family was poor for like in Africa. They didn't
poor.
So they didn't have money to get
poor.
books or like, you know, like pencils or something. Like he didn't have like basic school supplies, basically just to go to their little.
I think he was saying that they had food, and he would always ask to like borrow a pen or
he
a
had to
notebook
borrow from
other
other kids. Yeah,
he didn't have his own. That dude, that's so crazy, man. What a story, and good for him. And I hope, you know, him and UFC. I think they've been on rocky terms. Dana White was saying that he doesn't like Francis and Ngannou's manager or whatever. But Francis wants to get paid what he's worth, which he should.
Yeah.
And he's talking about maybe boxing. And I think if he's going to do it, now would be the time. I don't know if he has any fights left on his UFC contract or if it's maybe they have another year on it. I don't know if it's a per-fight contract. It might be a time length. And if they don't give him another fight or if they do, whatever, he might have to fight somebody else. But I would like to see him go into boxing. If he's going to do it, you should do it now while you're young. Obviously, he has a clear ability to learn and act it physically. And to see him box and make some good money like Conor did would be incredible. I mean, I couldn't imagine, even if he lost the fight, but him fighting Tyson Fury. I mean, Francis is a pretty good striker. I think you get him in there with a boxing coach for 6 months or a year, and then say, let's have a nice fucking big exhibition like the Conor Mayweather one.
Fury though is so technical. I mean, you look at the last fight that he had with Wilder.
Wilder should train Ngannou, man.
Wilder, maybe yes.
Spar with him.
But here's the thing. Yeah, probably. But here's Wilder has a massive.
That's just the stoner of me yelling some shit out.
Wilder has a massive right hand, like, you know, cannon. But in terms of like technical boxing skill, I mean, it's settled. You know, Fury is the GOAT right now. I mean, just the like. Again, like we talked, fight IQ. I mean, the guy's head movement, and for being just such a giant target and still so hard to hit, it's crazy how slick he is.
He's hit so hard too.
Yeah,
it looks like it's like some guys hit real fast and crisp. His is like a slow sledgehammer, or like a wrecking ball. It's a giant thing. It's being delivered at you with like thousands of pounds of force.
Construction equipment coming at your face.
Exactly what it is. Yeah. And that's what you got when you fight that motherfucker right there.
Absolutely.
What a savage that Tyson Fury is. The Gypsy King. Like, they say apparently there's a lot of good Gypsy boxers because apparently Gypsies live a lifestyle where they need to fuck people up. And they said when you get the reputation as the Gypsy King, like being the best of them, that's a fucking badge of pride to be worn.
Exactly. It's like that movie Snatch, you know, where Brad Pitt's character, you know, he's a Gypsy bare knuckle boxing champion, which makes him harder than a coffin nail. You know, I think they
harder
said.
Harder than a coffin nail.
Yeah. So it's just
fucking poikies.
Yeah, I fucking hate poikies. Yeah, they're like the.
That was a good Statham or whatever.
Yeah, they're like the UK's Dagestanis, basically, like just hard as nails. Oh.
I want to thank my father-in-law Tony Mahalik for setting up the screen, and well, we all helped, but he had a screen, he had a projector. And then he bought a surround sound system, so he covered that. I covered the bracket to mount the projector, which was surprisingly as much as the surround sound system. Fucking shit's expensive nowadays. But anyway, he set up the surround sound. He set up the projector. It's all hung from the ceiling. You got this huge screen. Great setup last night. You know, thank you very much to my wife Sarah for helping set up, for Jacob Mahalik. You know, Anthony for Fran. Fran cooked food for the fights. And,
so good.
Yeah, she made some party potatoes. That is her, like, special dish. It's, like, cheesy potatoes with, like, cornflakes, like,
I don't even know.
Crisped up on top, whatever it is.
But it works.
Shit. Yes, it was delicious.
Yeah.
For everybody who came to the fights last night, my friend Diana Nufio, my friend Claudia Jurado, my friend Claudia Bertacci, Nick Hefner, Eric Ocampo, you know, everybody who came through, Aldo Quinones, and for Matt Thomassen, we had a nice little crew. Aristeo, good night, man. Everybody enjoyed it. We wrapped up at a reasonable time, and that's kind of like what I like about the fights is like, it's not this late night drunkard activity. It's like everybody's responsible. People leave, they go home, they go relax, get a good night's sleep. You fucking leave the shit, or you clean it up that night, or you leave it till the next day. You get home at a reasonable hour. except for our asses.
Yeah.
We had Nick in the motherfucking crew with us. Like, let's go to Studio 63. Like, I would love to, Nick. It's one of my favorite places to go.
Normally
but it's
we would.
already like 1:30, dog.
Right.
And guess what? Their liquor license is only till 2 right now. They're working on trying to get it extended back because Summit, Illinois has now made all their liquor licenses 2 a.m. because some of the bars didn't have security and shit was popping off or whatever. And so, Nick wants to go to fucking Studio 63. And I'm like, I want a Champurrado, and then I'm going home. And so we all go get our Champurrado. It's me, you, Ari, and fucking Nick. You got the 4-wheel drive going on the bend, so we're good to go, getting through that snow.
Always.
So, the fucking snow hits. Started last night. It was getting a little shitty. By the time we woke up today, this is my relaxation time now. We got up. We get out of the fucking house. There's snow. We got to get out the shovels. Matt does the fucking front. I'm doing the back outside by the garage. We do that for like half hour. Get the cars fucking undone. And then we get to the office here. And we start shoveling snow again.
More
snow. There was a whole fucking bunch in front of the building, and our neighbor did the snow last time, so I helped them out. Me and him were out there. And then in the back, we did a little bit by the parking. And you know what? That was my exercise for the day. I didn't get on the treadmill today, didn't lift any weights, but I got some good fucking cardio in, and I was pushing that snow like fucking crazy. Felt real good for my arms. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you tighten that, it'll be locked in place right there. It'll give you a little more room.
Yeah, it's man, and it don't stop and it don't quit.
We don't
that
stop.
Snow shit, man. Yeah, it's been a frosty day here, definitely up here in the Midwest. So I saw my news feed. Janesville declared a winter weather emergency. Right?
Do they have to? Do they only do that when it gets real serious, or what?
Yeah, I normally it's just like there almost were no snow days, growing up here. It's just like. You still go. It's like there's this. Oh, it's 2 feet of snow on the ground. Well, figure it out. It's a rare. It's got to be really bad.
We're not that bad here.
Yeah.
It's if it's like a foot or more, it'll probably call school. But we're better than a lot of cities.
Yeah.
Like we're not like one of those southern cities where
the
they
South,
get an inch and it's like
the
shut
South
down
is just it'll rain and they'll be like, oh my God, it rained for a lot. It was a little bit cold. It was a little slick. We have to cancel school. Or flurry. As soon as snow hits the ground, they're like, whoa. Y'all, I don't know if we can make it, y'all. We gotta cancel that. I don't think we can go on the road. It's not safe. It ain't safe to be out there right now. All right. So you stay home. You watch out for yourself.
Yeah. Here it's like you get the apocalypse of snow and the abominable snowman's out there friggin' messing shit up, and you don't get a snow day. You just go, yeah. I mean, we're pretty good here about it. We don't get many snow days, but I did enjoy them when we got our kids because, sometimes you got to recognize that fucking Mother Nature is a boss, or Old Man Winter, or whoever you want to call it, and they're gonna dump down some snow on you. And sometimes it's a full day project to fucking clean up. Your little kid, like, first of all, you want to be helpful, or at least you did in my house because my dad taught us to fucking go out there and work hard. So go out there and make some money. Fucking they had me hustling, man.
That's
fucking shoveling that snow. He'd give me $10-20. But fucking, I'd do 4 or 5 of the neighbors' houses. They were happy. I was happy. I'm over there buying new Nintendo shit and all this fucking shit as a kid or whatever. And it's good stuff, man. So it was good to get that exercise and clean this fucking place up, and then. We have to clean the office up just to get ready for this podcast. Yeah. Like, we deconstructed and reconstructed like 3 desks and computers, all the fucking tables and chairs we had lined up, all that shit. You have to bring that upstairs, downstairs. We're transporting chairs. You did a fine work fucking helping me set up those computers. And we got everything cleaned up over here because this table that we're using for the podcast was used as our serving table last night. So this motherfucker was covered with a cloth. And we had the burgers and the chops. The chops turned out really good off the grill. They're singed and just juicy, tasty-ass fucking chops. Then we had that mac and cheese, the party potatoes, the whole deal. And then Aldo brought donuts for dessert to try to give me the fucking diabetes, this guy. But it's all good. I did enjoy one.
Yeah, I appreciate the contribution of Dunkin' Donuts to fight night, always. I mean, it's like we had everything. We had all the bases covered. You had the food, the drink, the weed, like...
So what? We go out, and then we smoke weed. We're just having fun with the UFC.
Damn right.
Speaking of drinks, this podcast is brought to you by Beck's non-alcoholic beer.
Frozen beer.
Yeah, it's literally, it looks like something out of a commercial. You can't see this in the camera probably, but there's like snow all over that shit.
Yeah.
And that's how we keep our beer cold around here. We know that Old Man Winter or Mother Nature or whatever you want to call it can take care of our refrigeration for us. You leave that shit outside, and it's going to fucking freeze it. And then you get snow on top of that.
Can't leave it on.
You got a commercial, son.
You just leave it all night. It's
brother.
Yeah. It's just ice.
The non-alcoholic. It just tastes good.
Non-alcoholic ice.
Because I'm sober since October and sober till St. Patrick's Day. I might even stay sober till the fucking month of May. I just may. What do you say? Then I'm go hard like an AK. Boom. Bitch, shot after shot. You want to come at me? What the fuck you got, bitch? Ooh. On the podcast, how long will the motherfucking rhymes last?
Irish Capone, hard in the paint, ladies and gentlemen. Like,
fuck yeah! Thank you for somebody who recognizes game, son. You know what I mean?
And this is just after a few hits from the ye old trusty vape pen.
Sipping on some scissor. Sipping on some scissor. Oh, snap, son.
Damn right.
This is some foamy ass beer.
I was say, is it thawed yet?
God, it looks like Mount Rushmore in this motherfucker. What happened to this thing?
We got a root beer float over there.
Yeah, we're gonna let that calm down. Apparently, they tell you to put your fucking finger in there and stir it because the oil from your finger fucking breaks down them suds. But whatever, that's why I got everything we need in one place. And that's what I love about this fucking office. That's what I'm blessed for. That's what I'm thankful for. Yeah. I got everything I need at my fingertips. I got a half a fucking gym downstairs that I'm still working on. That thing's going to be done soon.
We're going to make a legit
I got a podcast studio in the fucking office. It's super warm in here. I got radiator heat. I have family who help me out with everything, make a fucking awesome night of UFC fights. And we're here in the warmth after a hard day's work, relaxing, chilling, and getting ready to go to fucking Craples Steakhouse for dinner tonight, son.
Love me some Craples. So good.
Southside Landmark.
It's a great
Eat
place.
like me, dine like me. I'm going over. I shouldn't even have said that shit. I want to keep that shit a secret. That's my little fucking place to go, man. I'm getting the salmon tonight, blackened with lemon and friggin' probably some butter on there, some fucking green beans on the side with almond shavings, some garlic mashed potatoes with the bacon and the cheddar. Nobody does it better. Nobody does it better.
R.I.P. Nate Dogg. Real motherfucking G. Double G. Yeah, man. I mean, dude, I was saying earlier, this is the most modular office, law firm, really. It's a law firm by day, podcast studio by weekend, and also UFC Fight Night home theater by weekend / sports bar.
You got to use your attributes and your assets as best you can to the fullest, man. Like, I like the fights. There's an excitement. For those who haven't seen it, when I bring them in here, they end up liking it. They're like, tell me about the next one. Because there's an energy, right?
Yeah.
Great to bring people together. And, you know, I just do it because it comes natural to me. I do it. I do things in a unique way, and that's why this has been great for me. That's why I'm blessed. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
So.
No, man, you definitely like. You're not afraid. One thing that I think we discussed this earlier, but like. As you know, like my favorite, I don't know, comedian podcaster, Tim Dillon or whatever. Shout out to Timmy D.
Tim, you are the funniest motherfucker. It's hard to tell if you're serious or you're fucking around half the time.
It's fucking great. And the people that don't know him that think he's serious, it's so funny that like they think he's actually being sarcastic, at least half joking, 90% of the time. Other times he's just telling reality, which is hilarious. And his view of reality, he just highlights the absurdity of the status quo of reality.
He used to be a salesman, and I think that's how he sharpened those skills of like
selling mortgages.
He's so good at it.
Yeah, I mean he could definitely sell you a bridge, you know. So no, but what was I saying?
About Tim Dillon?
Yeah, about Timmy D. He was saying about just successful people. And there's an attribute of successful people that I see with you, where he says successful people are not afraid to go out of their comfort zone, to be uncomfortable, like to be okay and get used to being uncomfortable.
You're comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yes, yeah. Comfortable with the uncomfortable, and you do that. You're not afraid. Like you're just like, you know what? I think I can run my own business. I think I run my own law firm. You go out, you do it. You know, I think I want to do a podcast. Go out, you do it. You know, you're always like, and a lot of people just taking that step into the unknown, just leaping off. A lot of people don't do that, and they stay where they are. And when you stay where you are, it's comfortable, it's familiar, it's whatever, but that's as far as you get. Like, that's it. And that's fine. For some people, that's fine. But you're never going to be, like, really successful until you put yourself on the... I see it with my dad when he was operating, doing surgery. Like, he wouldn't sleep. Like, he had surgery on Wednesday nights, Tuesday nights. Like, he wouldn't fucking sleep because he was so worried about a bad outcome for the patient, you know? Because I'm literally removing the surface of their eyeball and putting the new surface of their eyeball.
That's disgusting.
On.
But I'm glad he's able to do it well.
Yeah. And you know, it's just no small task, and it would eat him up. Like, he would be super nervous about it. And he wasn't even being a master of his craft, practicing medicine for 40 years. He was still not like comfortable with it, but he was comfortable with being uncomfortable, and he still went and did it because that's what he honed, that ability to just wade out into the discomfort zone and fucking power through. Like, and that's what successful people do. Unsuccessful people are like, oh fuck, oh, that's scary, man. I don't know, and they never go beyond that, you know. So, and they're just like, I just like my little job, my little life here, my little job. I'm fine. I don't need to, you know. But like taking that step out, jumping out on that ledge or whatever, you know, just kind of putting your hand into the flame and just holding it there, kind of, you know. It's that's the difference, you know. In a lot of situations, that's the difference. Some people are just I don't know, I think just naturally gifted at like anything or whatever, like they're savants, like, you know, they're comfortable with everything because they're just so talented or intelligent or whatever. But like I think that even people with average ability, average intelligence, whatever, even less than average ability, less than average intelligence, who are willing to make themselves uncomfortable, put themselves out of their comfort zone, and just fucking go out on that limb, just dive into that cold water, will get further. Maybe they won't be the master of the universe, but they will get further. So, and that's something that I believe it holds true as a rule, generally speaking, and going through life. So, it's like me with the bar exam or whatever. I'm a terrible student. Terrible. You know, ADD, whatever.
I got ADD too.
You know, big deal.
It was worse when I was younger.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
note to people, you can still have ADD and become attorneys. Like, yeah, it's yeah.
Or anything else.
Or exactly, whatever. You can still do academic stuff even with ADD.
They say as you get older, you become more cognizant of it, and like you're more mindful of it, so you can control it better.
Yeah. And
I have learned that, but there's other things that help me, and I'll mention a couple of them. But
yeah,
life is risk and reward, you know. And you don't get reward without risk. And some risks are small. It's just you get a job and there's other people doing the job, and you fit in with the team, you fit in with the company or whatever, and you know, you do that, and that's what you do. But if you want more than that in your life,
yeah,
if that is the end in of itself, but if you want more than that, you got to work for it, and you got to take risks. You got to be willing to do that. And I mean, most of the time you'll be successful on the risk because people like that. Like, even if you lost at something or whatever the goal wasn't achieved, people see that you're willing to take that chance. They respect that in and of itself. And then if you do something successfully, you just got to want it, man. And you got to do it a lot. You got to do it consistently. And as far as being comfortable with being, you know, uncomfortable, that's huge in life. And that's one of the keys, I feel, to getting like peace, having peace of mind, or having maybe even inner peace, is like, you don't like swimming, or you don't like going into the deep end of a pool, which I kind of struggled with swimming when I was growing up, and I even had to be pulled out of the water one time when I was in fucking summer camp. And it was kind of a traumatic experience, but I didn't want to let that one experience define me, or the fear of that, you know, define me.
And so I was like, I'll do it better next time. And what had happened was I went down feet first, instead of like diving more in where I could start swimming to get back to the surface. And without feeling a floor beneath me, I started panicking. And I always remember that. But in order to do it better, I'm like, okay, I was kind of like military style after action review. What could I do better? And all it was just I needed to kind of like dive in to start swimming, and then hold my breath till I get back to the surface or whatever, and then I'm good to go.
Yeah.
And I remember I went swimming for the first time this past summer in quite a long time, and like in a water park. So I was on those fucking ones where like inject you into the water in like the deep end. You're like coming off like a 12, 15 foot drop of a slide, and it's just like thunk, right into the water. And it had been a while, so like the first time when I was getting ready to go down, I had that like fight or flight thing. It was like, am I too stoned to do this right now? I think I need to breathe a little bit more before I try this. But anyway, the point is just risk and reward. And to your point about the successful traits of people, I have the Investors Business Daily has this like top 10 secrets to success, and they said we followed successful people for many years, and we've observed the characteristics they have, and here's like the 10 that they have in common. It's like beware of a negative environment, like always think positively, like mindset is everything. Write down your specific goals, develop a plan to reach them. Success is a marathon, not a sprint. Never fucking give up. Like it's a long-term thing, which I believe in. You got to chip away at things little by little. You do enough of these, and after a while, it's a real thing because you've done so many of them now that like you've made this into you've given it the legitimacy just by being consistent with things in life.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's all these things on the top 10 list. Don't let other people or things distract you. And I kind of live by that shit, dude. My dad used to get newspapers like the Wall Street Journal or the Investors Business Daily or whatever the fuck it was, and he would share articles with me, or I would I don't know if he found that top 10 secrets or if I found it just by reading through his thing, because they would put it on the back page of the one section. You could always find it. But I look at those even sometimes when I'm exercising. I have them in front of me, and it's just a reminder where I'm like, these are great things to live your life by. But I've become very good with the being uncomfortable by like yoga and trying to be mindful.
Yeah.
So like we haven't been doing in-person yoga for a little while because the instructor who does it over here at Valley Forge Park, there was some kind of COVID scare and blah blah blah. So I don't really like doing the Zoom thing. I prefer in person, but whatever. When they're doing it on Zoom, I'm like, I'm a busy person, I'll do something else. Anyway, I prefer it in person. And the thing is, like, and I said this on a prior episode, when you're doing yoga, you get comfortable. Like, she tells you to think about your breathing. So when you're like stretched and you're in this bent position or you're doing something weird, like you feel carbon build up in your body, which causes anxiety, which causes stress. But if you remember to breathe while you're doing that stuff, usually the stress goes away. And so I've gotten like to the point where I'm like, I exercise, try to like exercise that uncomfortable muscle, if that makes sense. I was doing like hot and cold therapy for a while.
Oh yeah.
Which I kind of stopped doing because I don't know if it was for me or what. Maybe the fucking side effects from the vaccine or something. I can't fuck with anything anymore. But anyway, so whatever. Anyway, it is what it is, man. But good shit, man. Good shit. We live in a blessed life in the new year here, and we hope you're enjoying it and listen to it.
Speaking of podcast norms, I have to. I'm gonna have to hit the baño here.
Yeah, look, we can pause that.
Can we pause it?
Yeah. All right, we'll be back in a second, motherfucker.
Be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Started in here.
And running.
So, yesterday I had an event with Andres Elias from Remax Mikasa. Really good dude, nice young gentleman. And he put together quite an event. So, in the industry, we try to bring people together and we provide the information and we tell them what it is that we do as a team and how that all works, or we'll focus in on a certain area. And we'll have a buyer seminar or whatever we're having, right? Yesterday was more of like a financial planning and getting your credit ready for purchasing a home. So they had this event, and it was just a few blocks from here at the office, so we're on 63rd and Central here on the southwest side of Chicago. And the venue was just a few blocks back, and it was a nice little place. The guy was like telling me his rates were really good, and he was telling me, you can rent this out if you have an event too. So we had the event, And they said it holds 150. I'm like, yeah, I don't think it holds 150 safely during COVID or whatever. but I'm like, anyway, they had like, we had like around 110, 120 people RSVP or whatever.
Yeah.
And 50 showed up, but the room was packed. So I'm like, this is perfect. I'm like, if you had double that amount of people in here, like they don't even have enough chairs for that. How could they even tell you to have, we could fit 150. It's like there was 50 and every seat in the house was full. And there's no more room in here to add anymore. So I don't know what they're talking about with that. I'm like, but anyway, a lot of people turned out. They're very nice people. They talked about financial planning. My friend Ruby Velasquez and this other girl, Shane. Very, very nice. They talk to people about, what to do to get their credit right and how their taxes affect that and the importance of getting your taxes done right and not paying more money than you have to. Damn, I don't know if you could hear that in the mic. Dude, somebody was just fucking bumping some shit going down Central right now. But I respect that.
Yeah.
I was just like, is there something? Did I press play on the computer on something and it started playing when we were talking? But no, that was not the case. That was just somebody bumping going down the street. Yeah, respect, guy. Anyway, so the event was really good, man. And it was, they put on a good presentation. It was very informative. Everybody liked it. They had, some refreshments. And we all got a chance to say, to say a little something. And I really enjoyed the, minute and a half, 2 minutes or whatever, just speaking with people and making people laugh.
Working the crowd. Yeah.
A little bit, man. But just, showing people, a little bit of joy,
Sure.
Just we were having fun with some of the material. I was joking around. I was like, there was this part of the presentation where they said, would you rather have $1 million today or 2 pennies that doubles in value over 30 days? And so, of course, I think it's like the one that doubles in value, right? The 2 becomes 4, and then once it becomes like $1 million and it doubles, whatever, right? So it takes a while, but the point is just, the power of savings, compound interest. So I go up in front of the crowd, and I was like, hey, earlier when we were talking about the choice of the 1 million or, the penny that doubles, I was like, I think I take the $1 million. I'm like, tomorrow's not guaranteed, son. I'm like, I'm going to be sailing the 7 seas with Carol G, baby. And then everybody was just laughing their asses off, right? And what would you do with $1 million? That's probably what I'd do. But anyway, in any event, I was just joking around. It was just funny. We had a good time, and there was other stuff too. But it was really cool to connect with people. I spoke with some of them afterward, and that's one of the best parts about what I do. They're asking about, hey, my tenants are screwing me here. How do I handle that or whatever? And although I don't do evictions, I know pretty well how this all works, and so I give them advice like that. They're asking me questions about condominium law and all this. But it was really cool, man. And the owner of the banquet hall, we exchanged cards and got each other's phone numbers. I answered a few questions for people. The one dude I met, I actually invited him over for the fights last night. He trains around here. Steven Tapia is the guy's name. And I was like, dude, come through if you can for the fights. And he's like, yeah, I'll see what I can do. But I think he has kids or something. He probably couldn't get out or whatever. But he trains at the same gym as Bilal Muhammad. So shout out to Bilal Muhammad too, man. Real killer from Chicago. That guy's got no give up or quitting in him. Very, is great skill and also great heart and determination. But so that dude, he didn't end up coming through. But meeting people like him, we exchanged numbers. Like that guy, I might be talking fight game with him for quite a long time. In fact, maybe next time when we're doing something like this, talking about the fights, he could come and give a little analysis too. And that's what I told him. Like, dude, you'd be able to see how people are walking or what they should be doing to hit out of some kind of hold or grapple or whatever. But the event was great, man. That was a nice little highlight of my week. I also went to lunch at Main Event Real Estate. So shout out to Tanya and David Diaz of Main Event Real Estate. Went down there for lunch on Thursday. So I was supposed to be meeting one of their agents, Jackie Real. So shout out to her as well. We were supposed to be meeting for lunch, and she's like, hey, Tanya's doing a meeting at the office tomorrow, on social media and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, shit. I'm like, I think I see where this is going. And the answer is yes, I'll be there. So
don't mind if I do.
So fucking, I changed the plans. I order some sandwiches, whatever. We go down there, and I meet with all 5 of them. We have a nice conversation. I get to, crack a few jokes and have a good time, get out of the office. So that was a great time. Very positive thing. Can't wait to see my Main Event family again soon.
Hell yeah.
We had some recent deaths. Terrible to change the topic to something so nasty.
Yes. The dark ray of
Bob Saget, rest in peace, my man.
Oh, man. Did you talk about unexpected? I mean, granted, I wasn't exactly following Bob Saget's career, so to speak, but Did it say? Did you find out how he passed? I wasn't. I just heard he died. Yeah.
Just Google it real quick if you would.
Yeah, let's check it out.
You take a look.
I don't know if you knew.
I think it might have been a heart attack, but I don't want to say that. We'll find out for sure.
60. It was 65, right? It wasn't even that old.
Yeah, he seemed like a young 65 because he was still doing stand up. You know, up until the point of where he was passing.
Interesting. People ask, what did Bob Saget die of? No cause of death was immediately announced. Foul play and drugs were ruled out by the sheriff and the medical examiner. Interesting. Found dead lying face up on his bed in a luxury hotel room in Florida. Interesting. The plot thickens. No signs of trauma. No signs of foul play. Room was in order. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds
took
like
a
heart attack.
suicide pill or some shit? You're
right.
like, no, it was probably a heart attack. I'm like, was it a suicide pill? Did he want to off himself?
He took the second shot of Pfizer. No, just
You almost made me choke on my shit.
YouTube. We're not. This is a joke. I'm fully vaxxed. Whatever that fucking definition is, it changes every few months, but whatever.
All the time.
Yeah.
It changes to whatever Fauci fucking wants it to be, yeah?
Tony Fauci,
Yeah,
the
you don't
science
mess with the
himself.
mafia of science.
Boop-a-da-bop-a-da-beep.
I am the mafia of science, this guy says, Tony Fauci. But,
Hey, what are you gonna do?
forget about it.
Hey.
Forget about the side effects. Forget about it, huh? Forget about it. Forget about the side effects. Forget about the allergy testing. Forget about the FDA warning label that it may cause myocarditis or heart swelling.
Informed consent. What is that?
Yeah. Do you know that there's risk and benefits of this vaccine? Here's what they are.
Yeah.
Do you want to make that decision now? Just take it, motherfucker. There's one for every man, woman, and child in America. Just jump in line and inject that shit into your kids too. A vaccine for the whole family with our tax dollars. Oh shit.
It's your civic duty as a good American. Like,
spoken like a true liberal.
spoken like a true fucking sheep. Yeah, a true lemming. Yes.
And I'm not really a conservative. I'm a civil libertarian. Fucking freedom all the way, man.
Yeah,
the most broad freedom you could possibly get. Like, do whatever the fuck you want to. This is America, goddammit.
Yeah, another Tim Dillon quote. He did a recent podcast where he was saying, you know, they were trying to put him in a camp, whatever, people, you know, political, ideological camp. And it's like, he's like, just listen. He's like, I'm for whatever gives people more freedom, more autonomy. You know, whatever gives people more freedom, more autonomy, less authoritarianism. I don't like the authoritarianism that has come up during the pandemic. The authoritarian leanings of people in politics. Wow, what a surprise. People with power want more power and like to flex their muscles. It should come as no surprise, but I just figured like they wouldn't be so bold.
It's as disgusting as it ever is. That's how it always is. But during this time, they haven't told you the truth about the origin of the fucking thing. And then they're telling you to keep on injecting yourself with another vaccine every 6 months, regardless of anything else. Like, it's tunnel vision. It's like, it's not that there's any other early treatments out there or any of this or that. Just get the fucking vaccine, you cocksuckers.
We won't
let you sit down at a restaurant like a normal human being. You're a fucking dog if you don't have the vaccine. That's the kind of bullshit that's going on right now.
Killing people. You don't care about your fellow man. Never mind, you can still spread it if you're fully vaccinated and boosted. But whatever.
Yeah, you can get and spread COVID. And sometimes the COVID cases are maybe even worse after the fucking vaccine.
YouTube. I fully support vaccination, especially for the elderly. It's kind of a godsend.
Let's not say fully. Fully is a strong fucking word.
I don't support mandates, though, enforced
I support
vaccination.
free fucking choice is what I support. Hey, there's a vaccine that has an FDA warning label on it that says may cause heart swelling, myocarditis.
Can't say that, though.
They have that. Yeah. That should be your fucking choice whether you take it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And
if you're
a
not
risk.
that afraid of COVID, and if they give you other early treatments, like look at President fucking Trump, right?
Yeah.
Guy's 70 years old or fucking whatever he was, 73 at the time.
Not a spring chicken.
Fucking guy is
and kind
overweight.
of chunky. He's kind of a thick boy.
And he eats junk
Trump
food.
is a thick boy.
He eats
Double
junk food.
C.
And after getting COVID and sweating his ass on the walk up to Marine One to go to Walter Reed Hospital, he gets monoclonal antibodies, fucking
Shout out to Walter Reed. Shout out. I was born there,
and
and my dad worked there for 16 years.
fucking They give him that shit, and he's better 4 days later. He's back debating Biden. Come on, this is fucking bullshit, man.
Yeah.
This bullshit is what it is.
They
free
threw...
choice. They just had the march today, which is one of our topics that we were going to talk about.
Oh yeah, I got that up.
It was like, stop the mandates, an American homecoming, and that's all we ask, man, is a free choice in the fucking matter. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If
For
somebody
medical
wants to give their kid a
decisions.
vaccine, it's kind of scary because there's adults that have been having side effects, and apparently it's very noticeable in kids because kids normally don't have these types of health problems like myocarditis or heart swelling or fucking stroke or heart attack. But the point is,
We should preface
it should be a
this.
choice, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if you really want to do that to your kid, fine. But free choice for adults and kids. It's silly. And
Yeah, it is.
We talked about this too. So you're not supposed to coerce people into participating in research.
That is
okay?
un-American. That's North Korea shit. That's authoritarianism. I don't like it.
There was an international code of medical ethics that developed after World War II when they were trying some of these Nazis for forcing people to engage in experiments or research to see, how much pain the body can tolerate without
Yes.
Novocaine or fucking, sedatives or anesthesia. But anyway,
That reminds me.
they were doing all this shit. There's this thing called the Nuremberg Code. And basically what the Nuremberg Code says, these medical ethical standards, is that you're not supposed to encourage people to participate in research or threaten them with consequences if they don't participate in it.
Yeah.
Literally, the mayor of Chicago said that she's requiring the vax cards at these restaurants. And I think they even want to see the booster shot as well for you to sit down in a
course.
restaurant in somebody's business where they're trying to make a living, show the vax card. You know what I mean? It's like,
Well, they would have an argument, and this is a beef I had with the military early on.
but
And
the point of that is, and I don't want to forget
no,
this.
you go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to just
It's okay.
put a pin on that for a second. The point of that was, if it's research, you're not supposed to coerce people into to participating.
Yeah.
Okay, if that violates the Nuremberg Code. So what they're doing right now, what she said is she's basically she's like, I'm trying to make it hard for people that aren't fully vaccinated in order for them to live a normal life. It sounds like coercion to me, right?
Yeah,
And then the
100%.
consequences, the threat there is that if you don't, you're not going to be, you know what I mean? That seems to me to it violates the Nuremberg Code. And these vaccines are still research until they're fully approved. And right now, all they have is emergency, approval. So there should be no fucking mandates. People should be able to choose whether they want that vaccine or not. So that's in my opinion.
Yeah, if this was normal status
free
quo
choice issue.
and there wasn't a pandemic, they would still be in the approval phase. We'd still be going through trials.
Yeah.
They would not have been approved yet. And that's one of the things that Dr. J. I can't pronounce his name. Badassery. I don't know.
Badassery.
Yeah. He was saying that he was really surprised that they cranked out a vaccine that fast. That's the mRNA technology, where you basically just build it in. I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice, by the way. YouTube. I'm just some random guy on the internet. This probably won't even hit the algorithm, but in case it does, for the sake of saying
The more
so.
we keep on saying it, the more.
Yeah, maybe it will. Yeah, the algorithm.
They said COVID a lot of times.
Yeah.
Look at this one.
Oh, the algorithm's gonna take a look, raise the
Or
eyebrow.
vaccine or mandate.
But yeah, it's one of the things he said. Where it was just he was so surprised that they actually came out with the vaccine so fast because, the mRNA technology is not a traditional vaccine. It's a bit different. It's not latent virus, inert virus injected to train your cells. It's different. It directly teaches your cells without latent virus in the vaccine. So it's like, oh, here it is. Transcribe this body, learn this gene therapy or whatever, and get her done. And the vaccine is kind of a one-trick pony with the spike protein. You don't have the T and B cell immunity that you get from previous infection, natural immunity, which is a bit more
Robust.
Yeah, it's a bit more multifaceted as opposed to the one-trick pony that the vaccine is. And the vaccine, it's great. It's great that they can do that. I mean, there's so many applications with mRNA technology, right? You can rapidly deploy, vaccines in pandemics like this, and that's great, I think. But at the same time, what did again? I'm gonna keep referencing Tim Dillon because he's so many great points about the whole COVID pandemic and everything. He's like. Now this is from someone who has, Ford, a Mercury, American muscle, but it's an American product. It's a modern American product, and quality control is, at best. It's like, oh yeah, just get vaccinated. The pandemic will end. Well, 2 weeks to slow the spread became, 2 years to, I don't even know at this point. Just do random shit to make ourselves feel better, but not really stop the pandemic, which is becoming an endemic. So it's an American product in the sense that it fails to meet previous expectations. It failed to meet, it's like, a Chevy Cobalt or whatever, the Chevy Cruze. It looks great. It's zippy, looks kind of flashy, but it's a piece of shit. It's not a Corolla. It's an American product. So, granted, we make really good heavy-duty trucks, and the LS motors that Chevrolet makes are amazing. By the way, I just want to say that, be on record. I'm not a GM hater for you two fucking haters that will, comment on this video. No one will probably comment. But, it's American product, fails to meet expectations. Quality control is low. They've, I haven't pulled this up, but they've sealed the trial results for some time, some decades now, 25 years from now, or whatever the fuck. They're sealed. It's like the JFK thing. The records are sealed because there's shady shit involved. And that's not speaking to the efficacy of the vaccine, which is effective until it's not, until it fizzes out at 6 months. It's effective great for the first couple months. There's some studies that coming out of Europe now that says vaccine efficacy dropped to fuckethol after half a year. That's why they have the the booster twice a year. But yeah, no, they're good to go for a minute. Man. Yeah.
Free fucking choice.
But it's just too mandated. The problem with the mandates is, with me, to come back to that, is if it stopped the spread, you'd have an argument. There is some initial data showing that vaccination, especially at peak efficacy, right after vaccination, shortens the window of infectivity. You're not as infectious for as long, but when you are infectious, still as infectious as fuck. And that's, I believe those was either OG COVID, original COVID, or Delta. I don't know what the Omicron data is, and Omicron doesn't seem to give a fuck. It tears right through. It's infectious as fuck. There's no stopping it. By the way, there just isn't a, public health officials, government leaders, you're done. You're done. You're not stopping this. You have to come up with something else. Come up with another dragon to slay, but preventing the pandemic. People are over it. People are over the restrictions. They're over the mandates. You're not stopping it. Vaccinated, unvaccinated.
You're just pissing people off.
Just pissing people off. You're doing nothing. Just so you know, you're not accomplishing anything, and you're just failing.
People need to live their fucking lives.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
We're all gonna get
Some
it.
people joked around in the beginning, said that it's it's just like a bad case of flu. Well, it turns out that it is basically almost that. I'm not gonna go maybe as far as to say that, but we know that if left untreated for weeks at a time is when you have fucking real bad problems and you die, because we saw that happen to almost 1 million Americans who maybe if they got early treatment with other shit besides the fucking vaccine would still be alive today. Nanny, Gane, all those motherfuckers would still be alive, right? If it, you know what I mean? It may be all of them if they got early treatment.
I won't say all of them.
Yeah, I mean,
more
okay, whatever. I'm speaking passionately. My point is
yeah, you're right.
A lot of those people, and there's doctors that'll back that up, man. They say that literally more than half of those people would be still living if they just got some early treatment. It's pretty fucked up.
We should have at least. Here's the thing: there shouldn't have been informational campaign, a coercion campaign to discourage doctors from. I mean, we're people are driving like flies, especially shout out to 452nd Combat Support Hospital, my old unit, 452 in the house. Literally the first stateside reservist deployment in history. Went to go assist all military medical personnel, doctors, nurses, everything. We threw them at New York, threw them at New Jersey because they're being overwhelmed, and the morgues overflew. They had to bring in refrigerated trucks to house the bodies. It was insanity, absolute insanity in New York, early pandemic, OG COVID. But we're not that anymore. you know, I understand having that reaction early on, but that is not Omicron, and that is not the case anymore. And honestly, like, what I didn't like about even before, now we can debate hydroxychloroquine probably a lot. Even saying that probably is misinformation. Probably saying that it's debatable. There's some studies that say it's bad. Other studies that say it's either. It definitely never hurts. Hydroxychloroquine has fuckethol for symptoms. You get a little grumbly stomach or something like that. Maybe you get some shits if you really take a lot of it. You know, it's one of the safest medications out there. Ivermectin has even less negative side effects. These are not dangerous. I mean, these are like tried and true, proven, like antivirals or whatever. Yeah. Their efficacy against COVID is debated. I will say that it's debated.
They've fucking repressed studies of that shit, dude.
Ivermectin, they absolutely did repress studies of that.
For sure, man. They don't want you to know how good
jury
it is.
Out.
You know
the jury
what I mean?
is still out.
Everybody, all these fucking people that get really sick, celebrities, they're getting that fucking shit.
They are.
They're getting ivermectin, getting fucking monoclonal antibodies, the shit that'll really kick COVID's ass. Why can't we all have that shit? That's what I'm saying. That's the shit I want to have a choice about.
Yeah.
They only give you one fucking choice is the vaccine, and it's like, I want some monoclonal antibodies.
And that's
bitch.
it's not a like the one trick pony solution for this problem is just get vaccinated. And it's like, I mean, there's so many other conditions that we have a multifaceted Swiss Army knife approach to.
You don't just do one approaches thing for different problems in the body.
Yeah,
you need some shit for the heart,
and
some shit for the brain.
Let doctors try. Don't fucking threaten their medical license, pull their medical license when they're fucking trying during a pandemic. When people are dropping like
they're supposed to do the exact opposite,
especially with medication that is safe. If there's one thing, if they're gambling with really, really fucking like heavy side effect medication where there's all kinds of a whole nother ball of wax with side effects, that is not hydroxychloroquine. That is not ivermectin. At worst, it's a nullity. At worst, it didn't help you. At worst. And saying that it's okay to try with that isn't saying it's not okay to get vaccinated. So we have this weird, I'm saying do both. Like, if your doctor, I say talk to your doctor. YouTube, I'm not giving medical advice. My medical advice is talk to your doctor. FYI. This is not a place for medical advice. There's two guys shooting shit. So
yes, just two guys
fuck you, algorithm.
Fucking shit, son.
Fuck you, algorithm. Anyways. Yeah, talk to your doctor. If your doctor wants to prescribe, thinks that ivermectin is appropriate for you, all right. And then I say, if that's what your doctor says, I say go for it. Because at worst, you'll have sweet fuckethol for side effects. Maybe it won't help you. But some doctors are saying they're having success treating with ivermectin. I know that's insane. That's medical information to say. Because somehow that wouldn't, I can just take ivermectin and not get vaccinated. Why wouldn't you want to do both? Why wouldn't you want to protect yourself with the vaccine, and also when you get early stage COVID, try ivermectin if your doctor prescribes it to you.
If they wouldn't suppress actually doing large scale like randomized fucking clinical trials and shit with ivermectin, if they would do that, then and let's say they, just assuming for the sake of the conversation, those studies showed that or those trials showed that fucking ivermectin was great for COVID, I wouldn't take the fucking vaccine then. I'd rather get the fucking natural immunity from the infection and take my ivermectin and feel better in a few days.
Yeah, as a young person, I agree.
And not get the vaccine. Because this whole thing, man, there's other rumored side effects out there and shit, and we still don't know them, and they're just injecting you with the shit, not knowing whether you're allergic, not giving you informed consent discussion about the risks and benefits, which there always is of any course of treatment. There's always risk and benefits. And this whole thing has been kind of crazy, man, and it's just at some point, you know, the real tough problem here is that the suppression of speech, the censorship, and also the misinformation the other way. They're trying to scare you into getting vaccinated, to be pro-vax. Oh, you're a pro-vaxxer. Like, motherfucker, they're brainwashing you, man. They got you all scared. You know what I mean? They're operating out of fear. They're controlling the people's emotions, right? The greed or desire to get back to the old lifestyle mixed with the fear of getting fucking COVID without a vaccine. It's like, you know, it's a fear fucking game. People are operating in fear. They're letting fear make their decision for them, and it's scary because at some point when you've complied with the vaccine bullshit and all that, when is enough going to be enough? Like, don't you see that? Like, you've made a great sacrifice for your country and your fellow mankind already by everything we've been through, you know, with the bullshit. But there is no real defined limit here. Like, you're just going to keep on, you're going to say keep on getting boosted for
I
6 months
guess, yeah.
until this finally goes away.
But it's an insane
Without
proposition.
knowing all the fucking side effects you could possibly get.
Yeah, and going forward, long-term side effects from the vaccine, we have no idea.
We have no fucking idea.
Let's just say that.
People could
Can
be
we
fucking
say
getting
that?
cancer in a few
Can we
years.
say that YouTube? Because we've literally just introduced this, in like 2020.
I think we're drawing more attention to the issue.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, because we really don't know. And like we said earlier, I mean, if this was normal clinical trials, it would still be ongoing before this was approved. This would not be approved under normal circumstances yet at all. And the fact that they've sealed the results in the clinical trials and those aren't available for some years is eyebrow raising, at best. Eyebrow raising. I wonder what's in that.
Oh yeah.
Gotta wonder. I mean, hey, there are casualties on the way to progress, I'm sure. And they had to probably tweak the product to get it right. And I'm sure some poor bastards drew the short stick in that process. I have no doubt about that. But that happens. And God bless them for like putting all their shit on the line for that. So props to them. But we are essentially, my tinfoil hat theory for how things are run, we're essentially run by a corporate oligarchy in this country, and almost internationally to an extent.
I agree.
We're in a corporate oligarchy where the
Ultra rich
relationship
and
between
giant
large corporations, the international marketplace, the global economy, and politicians who they bankroll, Wall Street, yada yada, big tech, big pharma, all those. They're really calling the shots and controlling the information sphere, at least trying to control the information sphere as much as they can to control the narrative. And it's really quite transparent to the point where they almost don't. They're almost only half trying right now. It's just like it's so transparent, the bullshit they put out. We saw a case in point, the horse dewormer thing, CNN horse dewormer. They said, "Oh, Joe Rogan takes horse dewormer." It's like, motherfucker. When someone takes an antibiotic or whatever for an infection, they're not taking horse medication because they give antibiotics to horses, penicillin-based stuff, whatever. They're taking an antibiotic, and in different doses, all of a sudden it's horse medication. You know what I mean? Like, no one's taking that for like antibiotic. When a dog gets an infection, when a horse gets infected, they take the same shit as we do, just in different doses. It's literally the same thing. And calling it. It's like taking, you take antibiotics for like a staph infection, where you're taking horse medication or whatever. It's like, dude, it's the same thing.
So, but that's just the little pussy bullshit that they're at.
It's so
nowadays.
pathetic.
Yeah,
it's pathetic.
It is because it's like, yes, there's probably veterinary medicine where you can get it like there, and it's the same shit. But it's the same shit when you go to fucking. So they're trying to bash Rogan's rep. They're trying to fucking make him look like a crazy or like a Yahoo. The guy's taking horse dewormer. Well, I might take horse dewormer too if it worked on COVID, motherfucker. How about your vaccine? That doesn't work. You can still get a breakthrough case, and they're seeing them all over the fucking place. In fact, I think they're saying that Omicron might be fucking vaccine resistant. That's why so many people are getting it. It spreads so fucking much.
I can speak to
fucking
it.
Assholes. Maron.
Yeah, malacas. Yeah, Ramosa Queratoso, whatever the fuck they say, But yeah, I see case in point in my unit. We go out, we go to the bar. The majority of us get COVID. Omicron. And that's people have had the virus before. And they're all vaccinated, at least one dose. There are a couple of my guys who only had the first jab, but I believe one of them had COVID before. Neither of them, the guys who only had the first jab, actually got it, oddly enough. But everyone else, fully vaccinated, 2 jabs. Some of us have had COVID before, and they got it. It didn't matter. It didn't care. Omicron, in fact, it didn't get me, oddly enough. I've had COVID before. I had the 2-shot Pfizer. But I just come off that. I got my second jab December 27th. So I would probably have peak immunity at that time. And probably when you're peak immunity, it's maybe a little harder to get infected. Still possible. But, I mean, we're talking hours of exposure in a small bar where, like, we're there at 7:30 till bar close at 2. And if you can't get it after that many hours of exposure, that's pretty good. I mean, you get the fucking COVID infection plus the jab. I mean, your odds are good. And, your odds of a bad case, extremely low, probably. that's another thing I don't understand. The early downplaying of natural immunity and its benefits, so transparent as a vaccine sales technique.
Dude, I had a friend of mine tell me that he had, 2 different girlfriends this year. He had broken up with one, and he is now dating a new girlfriend. And he said, he had COVID before he started dating them, and both of them got COVID.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've been as close as you can be, right? And so, as boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, and fucking no.
He didn't get it, yeah.
Not again, no. So, they say, natural immunity, they don't want you to even think about that. It's like, that's what they started saying to calm us down in the beginning of the pandemic. They're like, we're going to get to a point where there's herd immunity, when enough people had it, plus we're working on the vaccine. Like, get your fucking ass in line and wait till we get the vaccine. We're going to pump you full of that shit. Whatever.
Right.
Anyway, let me put this on pause. We'll come back and we'll wrap it up in just a bit after that.
Yeah. All night.
Okay, back at it. So, Bob Saget, rest in peace. He was the father on Full House. He was the fucking... he was a dirty comic. So, for those who don't know, which they probably did, but if you're a real Bob Saget fan, you would know he was a dirty comedian. Rest in peace. So, he went from being like this wholesome father figure on friggin' Full House with the little twins and shit.
Yeah.
And fucking... it was a dirty comic after that, but apparently very filthy. Said some things about even the twins and his act and stuff that was funny, but
a little risque.
Risque
perhaps.
Funny. Yeah, a little bit. But that was what made Bob Saget great. So fucking I wanted to see him live. He used to perform down here in Pilsen and some other places, and I never got to see him, but it's all good, man. At least we have his work to look back on. Betty White. Grandma Betty White from the Golden Girls. I remember I used to watch that shit with my mom, my grandma when I was young. The Golden Girls. They were fucking classy chicks, but they were still out there friggin' meeting dudes and shit. This was before Tinder or any of that bullshit. They had that old people game. They used to show you how it was done, son.
Yeah, when people actually had to interact in a 3D physical space as opposed to a digital one. It requires a certain skill set, And Betty White...
Gotta sharpen that shit.
Man, talk about... a relic of a bygone era, but an American treasure, a national treasure, I would say, and a legendary figure. Everybody, I remember when she died, everybody was like, holy shit. But it was one of those, you just thought she was going to live forever, right? She was going to be like one, it's like you never thought she was going to die. She just kept on going. It's like, but she's been around since, before there was, the written language, before the ancient Sumerians and everything. So and she just finally died, which was crazy. I never thought I'd see it.
She was almost 100 years old.
Yeah.
She was just shy of 100. Fucking, she was one of those, she did the Golden Girls, and that's what kind of was her most well-known shit, but she was the grandma that would say some dirty shit in some of those movies,
yeah.
I think. Some of those comedies.
That would have been a fun one to rage with, to hang out with Betty White and just, shoot the shit. And it's an amazing thing, though. She was almost 100. So, I mean, when was she? So she was born early 20th century. Yeah, the shit she must have seen. I mean, she was old enough to remember. I mean, she's old enough to remember the Great Depression. Can you imagine growing up in
World
that?
War II would have been the wild part.
True. Totally wild, in the sense that war back then was very different than it is now, because back then the entire country mobilized, essentially. Cars were melted down. The women weren't working in factories to support the war effort. It was like all the men went to go fight, the young men. And now it's just it's a constant simmering thing that, to keep the forever war going, but we'll get into that in a different podcast. So... It was more of a thing as opposed to it was more of an all-encompassing reality, primary focus of the country to win the war. Now it's just kind of a side thing. Oh yeah, soldiers they go and they drive around and they're kind of in some third world country that get blown up by a bomb. It's like, yeah, that's fucking crazy, man. Glad it's not me. But that's kind of the normal thing now. And back then it's just no, we're all fucking in on this.
Yeah. It brought the community together.
Yeah. So she grew up riding around as a kid in like a Model T, probably Model T Ford, got to witness the moon landing. You know, that's some crazy shit to go from like the first mass-produced internal combustion engine car to the moon landing. Was pretty impressive thing to witness, I would say. Grow and shake off the Great Depression. You know, that was another thing that like that was cool about the Greatest Generation, is that like they grew up in that shit, like the Great Depression, fought and won World War II, built America into the premier world superpower economically, militarily, whatever. And then there's the boomers, and the boomers basically just ruined everything. And you know what? That's okay, because our generation isn't any better than the boomers. Honestly, I don't think. The boomers give them the keys to the castle, you know, and then they just burnt the house down, basically. Like, they fuck things over for the future, you know. Like, that's when the boomers had control, that's when the outsourcing happened, middle class started getting gutted, you know, all that jazz. And honestly, we probably wouldn't have acted much differently, us millennials, if that was put on the table. But you know what? Maybe the Zoomers are the answer. Maybe the Zoomers will save us all, save the country. I don't know.
I'm scared.
From their smartphones.
I'm fucking scared,
From
man.
their smartphones. Yeah.
No, but seriously, I feel without renewing the values and the principles that we have and the rights we have right now, freedom of speech, freedom to defend yourself, the right to privacy, right? Against unwarranted searches and seizures and all this shit. Like, that's more important than it ever it was in the last few generations. Like, that shit is supremely important at this time, I feel.
Yeah, people don't understand the significance of having rights. You know, rights are like an inconvenience to some people, almost. Like, your right to not be, like we have with Australia with the we'll say COVID detainment facilities or whatever. Don't call them concentration camps. They're really not, because they're not as bad, but they're technically concentration camps. You know, if there's concentration camps for illegal immigrants at the border, then there's concentration camps in Australia. So can we just say that? Can we just say that? Yeah. I will concede that there's concentration camps for illegal immigrants at the border, kids in cages, all that, you know. Then there's concentration camps in Australia, and people just hanging out on a porch, sunbathing, doing their Instagram shit. Like, yeah, you're there, and it's not bad, but you're not there on your own recognizance. You're there against your will. And that I always thought that was interesting from the Aussies, because I seeing that happen in America. Now, there's some people in America that are lemmings, that are sheep, that want to be told what to do. They're weak-minded, and they want to be herded like livestock, because they don't have the mental, emotional willpower to make decisions for themselves.
There's a lot of those people out there.
Weak ass bitches. So it just is what it is. I'm sorry that it is. Some people are like that, but I would say that's the exception in America. That's not the rule. There's enough in America that if people started getting put in COVID camps, and bust in there, military, 5-ton trucks or whatever, LMTVs and shit, some shit would happen. Some shit would go down. Like, most people would not go for that. Like, no, wait a minute. I'm COVID positive, so now you're going to put me in some fucking, like, camp? Like, are you out of your goddamn mind? Like, me and my AR might have something to say about that. It's like, yeah, me and my AK might have something to say about that. I don't think we're going to, but in Aussie land, they're like, y'all might have our guns. We're just going to skew it on the bobby, and forget about it. And drink Foster's. Actually, don't drink that. Foster's is shit beer. Australians hate it. That's Foster's American beer for Australian beer for Americans. So it's like their Natty Light. I don't know. It's not good. But yeah, man, they're just like, yeah, mate. I mean, our government would never betray us, do bad things to us. Like, we're chill, mate. Fucking. Meanwhile, it's skewing on the Barbie, and people getting put in COVID camps, and I don't think that's good. Like, when you give up all your guns and you have no actual leverage on your gun, they really don't have any leverage. The point of that's what really the whole Second Amendment thing is all about. It's not about hunting rights. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you guys, but the people who wrote that shit, it just fought and won a revolution against the British Empire. So it wasn't about hunting rights and recreational sport
about
shooting.
being able to defend from fucking invaders, foreign and domestic.
Exactly.
And that could mean the motherfucker coming through the front door of my house too if he needs an extra hole in his ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so
It means all those fucking things.
and God bless American culture and American law for having that baked into it, because it's baked into American law. You
Thank
can say
God.
what you want.
Yeah.
It's got negative implications.
You know, there was some motherfuckers
but-
at the time that shit was drafted and signed that said that they didn't think they needed a Bill of Rights in there. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's
yeah.
like, fuck you, man. Put that shit in
No,
writing,
no.
bitch.
Put it
Yeah, you want a
in
Bill of Rights? Okay.
pen and paper.
Number one, freedom of speech, religion of the press. Number two, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed by these motherfuckers.
It's pretty fucking
even though
clear.
they tried to infringe.
They've really
It's a little
tried.
jerk-off game.
It couldn't be any more clear. Shall not be infringed. They
Yeah.
were deadpan serious about that.
And
And
fucking the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, and the Sixth Amendment, fucking civil liberties, son. Let's fucking drive down the fucking expressway with the American fucking flag, man, the American flag, and just fucking spread the word of fucking freedom, brother.
rights are an inconvenience to the people who like lockdowns, they like mandates, they like authoritarian declarations, they don't like your free speech, they don't want you to be able to say what you want on the digital, on the metaverse. Yeah. That's all an inconvenience to these people. Like, there's certain subset
it's
of people,
inconvenient.
specifically.
It just seemed like great at the time, but we can't
Yeah.
oppress these motherfuckers with all this in place. They'll be suing us.
Yeah. And specifically to the powers that be, specifically to the real owners of this country. They don't like people thinking that they want to tell you what to think. They want you to fall in line,
And that's why I
be a
fucking
good sheep.
do this, and I listen to rap all the time.
Yeah, and honestly, something that a lot of people don't bring up is there's so much of this, like you see from the mainstream news media. Trust the government, trust the CDC, trust what they have to say. Meanwhile, for the last, I don't know, however many years, Big Pharma is the devil. They're the devil.
Near the Fairfax district overnight.
You got a fucking
That's me.
ad playing in the background.
I apologize.
Dude, they're trying to fucking distract us.
Yeah,
But yes.
but up until recently, Big Pharma was the devil, and that was the thing brought up by like the left. We need, like, these companies are out of control, like they do immoral shit. Here, let me. I have actually something pulled up about Big Pharma. Oh yeah. So Pfizer's the number 3 biggest settlement ever paid out in terms of
Criminal penalties?
criminal penalties, criminal and civil liabilities. That's 2.3 billion. That with a B, a Bravo, 9 million billion. Pfizer and its subsidiary Pharmacia and Upjohn paid $2.3 billion to settle criminal and civil liabilities for legal promotion of their pharmaceutical products. But trust them totally, without question. Without question. Definitely trust these people, for sure, because they're very credible and reputable, and their record speaks for it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're
I'm
literally
not
being
saying don't get
told-
vaccinated. You still, a lot of people really probably should. Most people probably should. I think personally it's a good idea, but you shouldn't be compelled to. It's
Free choice. Free choice.
you shouldn't be compelled to. I think it would be a good idea for most people to do so. Probably, I think the benefits outweigh the risks, but compelling people to do so, no.
The funny thing about the vaccines is that apparently, if you have like more than 50 deaths on a drug, FDA immediately pulls it and won't allow it to be sold.
And this would have been pulled
This
were
would
this
have been
normal
pulled as a vaccine
circumstances.
because they're
Absolutely.
saying that they've attributed like over 1,000 deaths to the fucking vaccine, or maybe more than that, right? I don't know
I'm
how much
sure
this is
when
being
it's
reported.
implemented mass scale, and that's
Yeah.
one of the things that
So it's
Malone
like, dude, they're giving you
got
some shit that's
canned
risky.
for.
It could be pretty fucking risky, man.
Well, yeah, and you're gonna see that when you're trying to vaccinate a country. What are we? 330 million people. I don't even know what the population.
Around
of America
300 million somewhere.
is. You're gonna get big numbers like that when when you're doing mass vaccination for the entire population. That's the goal. You're gonna get obviously way more adverse side effects. So it doesn't mean the vaccine's dangerous. Obviously, it doesn't mean anything to people that die from it or the loved ones, the people that die from it. You're like, well, still, fuck you,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Right. That means nothing to them.
No, man.
So, and granted, statistically speaking, that's still a very low proportion of people, and your risks from COVID are probably higher than your risks from the vaccine. However, when you're getting both, I think we know
Or
that.
if you had
Here's the thing.
the virus first and then getting the shot afterward may be riskier for you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's another thing that
For your
Malone
immune
said,
system,
that
the
he was
buildup
like,
of spike proteins.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
And you already have such good immunity, you're mind fucking your immune
You don't
system.
really need it after.
Your
It's
immune
not.
system was like, wait, we already know.
You
Why are
already
you injecting
weathered
all this
it.
shit into
You
me?
don't need it. Yeah. So here's the thing, like specifically with myocarditis, and I know Joe Rogan got heat for this when he was talking about he was on the pocket, like all the mainstream news outlets like CNN was like, oh, watch Joe Rogan get fact checked in real time by Josh Zepps or whatever, and I'm like, and so Rogan is trying to say like the risk of myocarditis in adolescent males was higher with a vaccine, specifically the Pfizer vaccine, I believe it is, and we have an article about that says as much, than it is from COVID. Now there is, and Josh Zepps was like, no. Actually, there's higher risk of myocarditis just from getting COVID than there is of the vaccine. However, now let's grant that ground. Let's extend the olive branch and grant Josh Zepps and CNN there. I believe you cited a CNN article about that, if memory is correct. But grant him that ground. So there's an accompanying risk of myocarditis with COVID. There's an accompanying risk of myocarditis with the vaccine, specifically. It's different for each manufacturer. But so everyone's going to get Omicron, basically, right? Everyone's going to get it, At least it's so contagious now. You're going to get COVID if you haven't already. So if you're a adolescent teen, why would you do both? Right? So there's going to be risk of myocarditis from COVID, which you're going to get probably eventually, and there's also risk of myocarditis from the vaccine. So why would you increase your risk of you're packing on myocarditis with vaccine, myocarditis with COVID? Why would you do both? If you're
increasing the risk of myocarditis then because
an adolescent
they both have
teen,
the risk of it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Why were you compounding risk of myocarditis?
Yes, well, that's
then?
what the doctors are saying that are getting silenced now is that, like, if you've already had it, there was already the risk of that myocarditis, and now you're adding the extra risk of that you might get it from the vaccine.
Exactly.
So yeah, the whole thing's kind of fucked up, man.
It is.
Because another thing that they said, apparently, you get more of the synthetic spike protein on the vaccine than you would get just the natural spike protein from a natural infection of COVID-19.
Interesting.
Because what they're seeing is that after they inject you with the vaccine, your antibodies are really, really high. And the doctor's like, there's no way the antibodies would be that high unless they were giving you a really large dose of those fucking synthetic spike proteins. And another thing is that, originally they tried to say, well, it just stays in that area and, whatever. It's like it goes all over your body.
That's what Malone was saying. It doesn't stay localized to like a transcription site, basically. They go everywhere.
Yeah, it's like your heart, your fucking
and it shouldn't.
everywhere.
That's an oopsie.
Christ.
And it's not, I wouldn't say it's dangerous, but it can be if it goes wrong, right? Usually it doesn't. In obviously the extreme minority of cases, there's an issue. But that shouldn't be a controversial thing to say, and apparently that is a controversial thing to say, that there's risks associated with it that are being downplayed by the establishment.
Yes, sir, that's happening.
And we're not even saying that these are high risks. They're low risks. That's what I'm saying. But just even saying that there are risks, like we do on every commercial you've ever seen with a drug. Oh, here's Prevagen or whatever, may cause bleeding, diarrhea, stroke, blah 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 blah. It's like you go through this laundry list at the end of the commercial of like 20 different side effects. Like, holy shit, is it even worth it?
I'll just take the kidney failure because
give me the kidney failure. Right. But it's a low risk of those things, so you wait. It's called informed consent, and apparently we don't do that anymore because it causes vaccine hesitancy. Oh my God, someone.
Which is why we need the fucking informed consent. Stop fucking with us. Like, you're fucking with us.
Dude,
we know you're fucking with us.
Dude, what was the big Roundup company? The company Monsanto. Monsanto got annihilated in a lawsuit because of Roundup, because they essentially had insufficient warnings with their risk of negative side effects from using Roundup. I believe is risks of cancer specifically. And there's a massive, massive lawsuit. This one firm, I mean, God, it would be a fucking wet dream as an attorney, like to be with that firm that like annihilated Monsanto. I mean, it was $1 billion lawsuit. Like, I think it was actually $1 billion lawsuit. Anyways, they take a third off the top, which is God bless them. You know,
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
You buy a fucking yacht.
I can only imagine. That's yacht club money.
Drinks, ladies, the fucking drugs.
But it's the same. But to bring it full circle, informed consent. By using this product, here are the risks. It's probably a low risk of cancer with Roundup, but you have to know that there is a risk of cancer, and they were kind of not being explicit enough about that, or explicit at all about that. I don't know the exact details, but it's the same principle. It's the same principle. So the government and the mainstream media is essentially being Monsanto about Pfizer. Or I wouldn't say Pfizer, Moderna, whatever, Johnson & Johnson, about the vaccine. They're essentially doing Monsanto shit, Roundup shits, where they're like, they're not telling you the full deal. They don't want to talk about it. If anyone who talks about any risks associated with it, however slight or low, just discussing that risk is misinformation, creating vaccine hesitancy. By their definition,
we're living in a crazy time.
They
folks.
are. By their definition of vaccine hesitancy, every commercial that's ever been published about any fucking medication, lists all the side effects that they do per FDA regulations or whatever, is creating medical hesitancy. Everyone ever published creating some kind of medical hesitancy, medicational hesitancy. So all of a sudden this just changed. Like the game has changed. We can't talk about this shit anymore.
Dude, some of the world's best doctors are being censored. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And
like those would be the people you want to hear from the most, right?
Yeah, like
I didn't
Dr.
even know
J.
who that fucking weasel Fauci was until he was all over the TV.
Yeah.
I love COVID. I think about it when I jerk off, and now I'm gonna fucking. Now that it's here, this is the pinnacle of what I've been trying to achieve, and now we're gonna hit you with the vaccines, and you gotta fucking take them.
I've taken a bullish position on certain pharmaceutical stocks. Let me just put that out there. Oh, just kidding.
That was just a joke.
I'm bullish. Just jokes, people.
Just jokes.
Just jokes. Bullish on pharma.
Well, my man, we got a nice dinner to eat. I'm craving salmon tonight. I'm gonna get that shit hooked up at Great Bulls. Before we go, I wanted to give you this book. So,
happy birthday to me.
You.
Thank you.
This new book out here is called The Kill Chain. It's by a guy named Christian Brose, Defending America and the Future of High-Tech Warfare. Former staff director of the Senate Armed Services Committee and senior policy advisor to Senator John McCain, talking about what we need to be to be battle ready and to be fighting the wars of the future.
Interesting.
And what we need to do to change the military for the best, which we'll talk about probably at length over time when you come back on the show about the need for military reform. It is, I feel, has been largely perverted into something that it should not be, that it is not. It's outside the definition of what military should be, or
don't
what
get
we
me started.
Need them for, or their purpose, or what they do.
That's for another podcast.
But yes, this book apparently has a lot of good ideas in there about what needs to be done, to better our military and reform it. So we'll be talking about that shit in the future too. So you got that book, I got that over here.
Thank you, man. That's quite interesting. Being a signal corps officer, we don't do cyber, obviously, but there is information spectrum stuff, So. Yeah, that is
one thing I'd like to do is just for
overlap.
Food for conversation for these podcasts is maybe not like a little bullshit book club, but we'll read a chapter a week and then kind of rap about it, on the podcast or whatever, and just kind of, chat about our thoughts on it. But there was a few things we didn't get to. What else do you have up there? Maybe we'll get to them next time.
We have the coming up next episode in the Blue podcast is LAPD cops fired for playing Pokemon Go during a robbery. We have other stuff.
Very interesting story, but that's what it's gotten to. They don't even want police doing their job, so now that they're not, these people are doing fucking
we're
fucked
gonna
up
get
shit,
into
like
that.
playing Pokemon while people are getting robbed.
We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the housing market and inflation, and are we heading for another crash?
Hopefully not, because that's what I do for a living.
Fingers crossed. And also, we're going to talk about the FBI and sort of manufacturing the FBI's role in how the way they prioritize stuff and how they kind of manufacture crime, and they gestate, I want to say, they gestate, encourage, and almost foment people to get sort of what they did during the war, the GWAT era, the war on terror era, just finding like young, kind of hapless, Muslim kids to, build up and drag them along, inch them along, hold their hand all the way up until the point of committing terrorist act, provide all the assets, provide all the incentive. The plot originates with them. We're talking about the Whitmer kidnap case and all that, and just kind of like the FBI SOP of like creating crime to stay relevant, or at least make headlines. I don't know what their motivations are. Being in the federal government myself, I don't know what the federal government's motivations are. Often they elude me, and they're completely separate and detached from most of American people.
That's a good summary.
To be generous.
That's a good summary.
Yeah. But yeah, and I also want to talk about Jake Paul and celebrity prize fighting. And the Woodley fight, we got to talk about that.
We'll chat about that. The second fight, Woodley got knocked the fuck out, son. Like Friday, Woodley got knocked out. Like damn, dude. Woodley, you got to fucking represent MMA a bit better than that, dog. You got clocked by a YouTube fucking star. That guy should be half a bitch, bro.
Jake is legit, man. He is dangerous.
He throws a heavy hand, and he's in good shape, and he's young, and he's fucking got balls. He's stepping in there. I'll fucking fight Mike Tyson. Are you out of your fucking mind, cocksucker? You see what he did to Roy Jones Jr. When they fought like a year back? Like that guy still will fuck you up in his 50s.
He'll be dangerous till the day he dies.
I don't know. I would just. He will certainly be until the day dies. I still think Tyson wins a fight, but Jake Paul, you got to watch out for him. I mean, Tyson, he's not as quick as he used to be. So even though he might be able to throw some heavy hands on fucking Paul, like, you get clocked on that chin, you don't know how his chin's going to hold up. Because fucking Roy Jones, I don't remember him landing anything really heavy. In fact, Roy Jones was saying that he was going into that fight, he was already in good shape anyway. He's like, I didn't have to worry about training that long because I'm still training people in the gym all the time as part of my living. And then when he got in there, he looked winded, and Tyson was still good to go. He looked winded by like the second or third round. I'm like, damn, Roy, I thought you said you were tuned up, dog.
Dude, Tyson is, in my opinion, one of the all-time greats. Dude, he's a ferocious savage. I just love watching like knockout reels of Tyson. He had so many fucking fights and so many fucking knockouts.
Dude, he would chop you down
snatching
like a
the
tree.
life out of people.
Like a tree, dude. It was like if you chopped a tree with an axe or got hit by lightning or something, he cut right in you, dude. That guy would work your body with those fucking hooks.
So much power.
And then chop your head off.
So much power.
Yeah. But anything else on that list at all or not?
That's pretty much all I had.
Next time, keep all those fucking ready to go. Write them on the list.
We got them in the queue.
Save the tabs. We'll get back at it. And hopefully you'll be back in a couple of weeks, and we'll do part 2.
Oh, yeah. I'll be around.
But before we go, I say this every podcast. I believe that we should all start from a position of kindness and respect. And when we meet people, regardless of their gender or their race, and I believe that if we do this, our own world will be a better place, and so will everybody else's too. So, be good to each other, be good to your family, be good to your community. Don't stress, stay blessed, and tune in next time for the next Blue podcast. We love you, man. Peace. Stay warm out there.
Amen.
Peace out.